during the Piston game, somebody said, "Is Cade the best PG in the Eastern Conference?"
Oh yeah.
And I don't know who the admin was. I don't know who the admin was. You have to put him in that conversation now, right?
Cade is the best point guard in the NBA.
Yeah,
he's the best point guard in the NBA.
Because, like, just off the top of my head, and I'll defer to you, okay? Like, seriously, Neal, because like you've called games in the NBA and stuff. Like, okay, Brunson, Halliburton,
no.
But right? I mean, help me out. Those were the two that popped in my mind right away. Would I take Cade Cunningham?
Absolutely.
You damn right.
Because my first reaction is like, all right, who's the slapdick running the Woodward account?
No,
and then I sat
real.
back and go, okay, so who would you take in the East? Like,
see,
honestly,
like you have to stop. Like, you're not comfortable with that.
No, that's exactly
mentally,
it.
you're not. And people around Detroit, I don't think, are fully mentally comfortable with that.
You better get
yet.
comfortable. Because the leap he's taking this year, he does it all. Like, he's a triple-double threat every time he steps
Like I said, it's not just the East. Cade is the best point guard in the NBA. If he got SGA's whistle, he would average 35 points a game. This guy is different in what he's doing. He's putting up numbers that only Michael Jordan, Oscar Robinson, LeBron James, and Luka Doncic have so far in his career.
Yeah.
He is on par with Nikola Jokic so far this year when it comes to all-around game.
This year. It's him and Jokic.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And this guy, Cade Cunningham, is truly a superstar. He is legitimately a first-team All-NBA player. He is legitimately a top-5 MVP candidate in the league this year. Like, he is playing out of his mind.
Woodward Sports chat thread, Ethan Rosell agrees with you. He's better than SGA. If he had SGA's whistle, he'd average damn near 40 points a game.
It's hard to argue.
DNC ENT's with you, says, no, Cade is the best point guard in the league. Like, people are worked up. And, like, look, I'm not as worked up about it because I was on this for a while with Cade. You know, it is. It's just the guy will do the basketball move. And you saw the difference. Like, look, Trae Young last night played about as well as he could play. And I know the stat lines ended up very similar, almost the damn near same, but the eyeball test was nowhere near the same.
Yeah. Cade had 4 stocks. Trae had 7 turnovers. Like,
that's it.
The guy plays. You look at the other top guards in the East. You got Brunson. You've got LaMelo. You've got Trae Young. You've got Halliburton. You've got Darius Garland. I'm taking Cade Cunningham over all of those guys. He is the best guard in the Eastern Conference.
It's so funny. I go back to the draft 4 years ago, okay? I am a firm believer, all right? If you get the number 1 pick and the spontaneous celebrations that started merely over getting the number 1 pick, and I didn't mean to be a stick in the mud that day, but I said that day, hey, you guys, you know when I'm going to have my celebration is when that number 1 pick becomes a special player.
Yeah.
Because I'm a firm believer. I'm sorry. I'm a firm believer. I don't need a good player when you get number 1 overall. I don't need a good player.
Need generational.
If you get number 1 overall, you have to be a special player. And Neal, you never backed away from this. You got my back last segment. I'm going to get your back here. He never backed away from this. You guys, we got ourselves a special player.
Yeah.
You have. I've heard you say it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Anybody want to argue that now?
No.
Anybody want to come in and say you were wrong?
The early returns were there. It was just the team success was not matching up to what Cade was bringing them.
Sure.
And, you know, for him to just be, I said year 3 because he's been in the league 4 years, but the second year he only played 12 games. For him to be taking this kind of leap in only 3 years of NBA basketball, he has a lot of runway in front of him, man. So, no, he can possibly be the face of the league one day.
I take it seriously, Neal, and I know you do too, and I think you guys, everybody here does. I got to stop myself from being a slapdick. Like I like really and truly have a job to do. I have a job to do.
I agree with you. I subscribe to that.
So when I saw that yesterday, my first inclination was to reach out to Spenny and just go, Spenny, who's running the fucking account? And then, sorry, Fox too. I know, but listen, but then I sat back and I said, it's okay to say that.
It's true.
It's okay to say that.
And
I'll make that argument with anybody.
Sean,
I will. Who do you want me to argue? Who do you want me to argue against? I'll make that argument with anybody. That's how special a season this guy's having right now.
No longer than or no earlier than 3 months ago on these very same airways, I made a proclamation that Cade Cunningham was the best Detroit Piston since Isaiah Thomas.
Yep.
And I was chastised for that opinion.
The Grant Hill people came after you?
Yeah, I was thrown over the coals for that opinion.
Yeah.
Cade Cunningham is the best Detroit Piston since Isaiah Thomas. He is the most talented basketball player this organization has ever had other than Zeke Thomas. You look at what he could do, man. This guy does everything. He does it efficiently. He does it correctly. He's not foul baiting. He's not acting like a bitch like Trae Young does every single time he goes to the hole. He goes out there. He gets you ethical, real buckets. He's an elite level 3-tier scorer. He will guard your best player on the other end as well. He will block your center at the rim when he's trying to dunk it. Cade Cunningham is a top 5 player in the NBA right now. Right now. His future, his ceiling is multiple-time MVP.
Yeah.
This guy is special, and we need to acknowledge him for what he's doing.
I like that Spenny dropped it in a way. It almost sounded like he was talking about pasture-raised eggs, didn't he? Yeah. He's ethical. He's sustainable.
Yeah.
But it is, though. And what did he have last night? 3 free throw attempts?
Yeah,
Three.
Yeah.
And Trae Young had like 12 or something
15,
like that.
I think. Yeah.
15 it was?
Yeah.
Like, I think that should be celebrated. And it won't it won't be, but it should. Because he does play basketball the right way. Like, what everybody rails against here in the chat, like when we talk about NBA and everything that everybody comes out against, Cade is exactly that.
Yeah.
He's exactly that. Ethical. I like that way. He's an ethical scorer. He is not out there trying to rip through arms and like putting his hands in the air. And he's not even sitting there crying about calls he doesn't get.
Which he doesn't.
He plays through
Which
it.
he doesn't get. He plays through it.
Neal, he's already top 3 in the history of the NBA of games with 25-plus points, 10-plus assists, and 0 free throw attempts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the call. He doesn't bitch. He doesn't cry. And it's kind of like a LeBron factor, where LeBron gets the call, but LeBron doesn't get as many calls as he should because he literally gets hammered every time he goes to the lane. But it's because he's so big and physical and strong. Because Cade Cunningham is 6'7", and he's physical, and he gets to the lane and you hit his arm, but he still finishes on top of you. Because he's so strong, he's not going to get the call. Trae Young's little dainty 6'1", dust bunny looking ass goes to the lane. He gets hit. He goes crazy and looks better.
He dove into Beef Stew's leg last night after that 3-point shot.
I was so happy when they called the one where he went in the lane and elbowed Stew in the face and they challenged it and it got overturned. I was like, fuck you. I said it on Twitter. I couldn't imagine waking up every morning and forcing myself to like Trae Young or to respect that kind of basketball.
Right.
Fuck that. My ethical superstar lives in Detroit and his name is Cade Cunningham.
There it is, everybody. Robert Sloppy Toppenheimer. Cade is the best Piston since Zeke in Detroit.
Oh, look how I come around.
Danny G. Cade is closer to the best point guard in the league than people want to admit.
He is the best point guard in the league.
100%.
That's a great take.
No, Danny, I did it in the East yesterday. I did, and then I started thinking, all right, where does he rank in the league? And you can have these conversations now. It's pretty stinking cool.
And the thing that I love is that now his scoring is starting to catch up with everything else. When you look at what he did last night, he almost had 30 at the half.
7 threes.
A
7
40
made
burger
threes.
for the game. Like this.
7 of 10.
Yeah.
If Cade start taking over games with his scoring like that, along with doing everything else, it's going to be a problem.
Responsibly farmed.
Yes.
Yeah. Responsibly farmed. Grass fed.
Never in captivity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just ethical, free-range buckets on your fucking head top.
All
That's
the
what Cade Cunningham
points he
gives you.
scores.
You're so close to going to the American Voice right now. Did you hear
You're
it?
goddamn right.
Absolutely.
That's how basketball should be played.
All the points he scored, grain-free diets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Grain-free diets,
Grain-free
all of them.
diet,
All
right.
the points he
Gluten-free.
scores.
Pasture raised.
Woodward Sports chat thread, DNC ENT. And I'll do this, and guys have heard me say this story before, but I think it bears repeating again. DNC ENT, whatever it takes, he's the most complete player in the game today, bar none. Assassin's mentality, I said this week. I said when he was drafted. I'll repeat it again. Who's starving more for an NBA World Championship than Cade Cunningham? There is no one. And again, I'll make this plea to the fans and pull the curtain back. Last year, I did the game in Washington against the Wizards. We got on the bus to go to the airport. Cade Cunningham, who did not play in that game, they won the game. They beat the Wizards. Cade Cunningham got on the bus, was the most fired up person on the bus. Players, staff, everybody. And he didn't play.
Yeah.
And he was that fired. The dude just wants to win here in Detroit.
It's beautiful.
In Detroit, he wants to put it on his back, and he wants to win here in Detroit, and he will do whatever is necessary. He will.
Yeah.
Sean, this guy should be the most loved superstar in Detroit.
Yeah.
He should, for real talk.
He's getting there.
He should be.
He's getting there.
And he should be, because nobody in this town wants to win more than I know that for a fact. For a fact.
I don't care what anybody says. You and I have been very fortunate to kind of be behind the curtain. It is amazing the stuff you see in scenarios like that. When you're on a road trip, when you're on a team bus and everything, the window into the soul type
You
of
see
stuff.
how people are,
You
yeah.
really do. You get to peek behind the curtain, and you get to see how people really are. There are some guys that I've had a lot of success for, or at least had a lot of respect for their success, that unfortunately you kind of saw the other side, where
Right.
you're
Like
just like,
Babcock.
I don't know. And then you have some other dudes where it just skyrockets. When you have the opportunity to do games at that level, at the professional level, and Neal, both you and I have been blessed to do that, it is amazing some of the stuff that you can see that maybe the average person doesn't see. And more often than not, I might add, that window into the soul is an accurate read in regards to what that person is eventually going to become.
And before we go to break, AC in the Woodward Sports Chat says cage-free Cade. And nobody with the Super Chat says ethical scorer, make it a shirt, Stick. So, I love the guy.
That wasn't made in a factory in China.
No,
No,
That is U.S. raised. Good Texas boy coming up here and taking care of business. You're goddamn right, Cade Cunningham. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, this might.
There it is.
There's nothing.
That's my new favorite bit.
Right.
I want to get him riled up just to go
Oh,
into that
man.
voice.
No, the American voice it never.
Cade Cunningham is American as it gets.
Goddamn right.
I want to
Good Texas boy.
There is nothing more beautiful than a low ego superstar.
Yes.
And when you have one, you need to appreciate them. He reminds me a lot of Calvin in that way. The way Megatron used to come through
That's a good comp.
Yeah, no, he
Very
reminds
good
me of
comp.
that. Low ego superstar just wants to win.